Here are my handles for this project. You can see that they're almost 12 inches long, and the hole is about 10 inches long that we're going to put our fabric through.
Start by cutting the outer fabric of your purse into 2 pieces. They're each going to be 18 inches wide by 12 inches tall. Next, you'll repeat that process with the inner lining of the purse. After you've cut 4 rectangles that are 18 inches wide by 12 inches tall, you're going to fold them in half, each of them individually. And then I line up the bottom to the 9, and the top of my ruler gets lined up to the 7, and I'm going to cut that diagonally. Then each of our rectangles gets turned into a shape where the top is 14 inches wide and the bottom is 18 inches wide.
I'm going to start with my 2 outer pieces now and put them right sides together.
I'm lining up the bottom and pinning it in place, and since I'm using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, any discrepancies aren't going to be that noticeable. I'm also going to pin 5 inches from the bottom and mark that area, and then I will also mark 1.5 inches from the bottom on each side. After placing our pins, we're going to sew the bottom in a straight line and make sure that we backstitch on both ends. Now that the bottom is stitched, we're going to lift up the corner and pin it into the 1.5 inch pin mark that we placed. And we're going to sit that right in between the 2 pieces of fabric. Once we pin that one into place, we'll move on and do the same thing to the second corner. Now we'll sew from the corner to the 5 inch clip, and we're going to back stitch on both ends and make sure that we do that on each side. Now we can turn this outer shell right side out and kind of push out those corners so they look nice. Next, we'll do the same process with our inner shell. The only difference is we won't turn it right side out once we're done.
So I finished sewing my inside portion and my outside portion of the purse, and I'm going to keep my inside portion wrong sides out or right sides together. So this is the silky smooth nice portion, and it's going to be the inside. So I will put this in the purse. And we want to line up this portion right here. And it's okay if you did a little over or under the 5 inches, but we want to make sure that they all are the same. That's the priority. So we're going to fold it under on both sides. And then pin this. Now we're going to go all the way around the purse, folding under and just making everything match up. I usually start just getting things pretty close, and then I'll touch up some areas that I need to afterwards. Do the sides first, and then you'll come back and do the top section. Once your sides are all lined up, you're gonna flip over each side on the top. And have them line up as well. I do each corner right here, and then it's easier to get all the middle to flip to the right size. Once you have the entire purse line flipped under, we're gonna top stitch around all of these, and make sure you do a really good job of back stitching in these corners, because every time you open the purse, it's gonna put tension right here. Now I'm gonna attach the handles. My handles have one side that is more sharp and one that's more rounded. So I'm gonna make sure that the rounded side is on the outside and that the flat handles will go together in the middle. As you can see, this inside portion is hidden when we flip it over. So if you have spots like this that aren't the prettiest, it really won't be seen. It's also going to have kind of a scrunched look in there, so that also helps hide any imperfections.
Although this will have a scrunched look, we definitely don't want to pin wrinkles in place or sew wrinkles in place. We're going to create a straight path of a few inches long for a needle to get through, and then you'll scrunch the fabric behind the needle and continue creating a straight path for your needle to sew through, and then we'll scrunch it all up evenly after we're done sewing it. I find this easiest to do one handle at a time, so go ahead and pin one handle into place and sew that on before you start pinning the second handle in place.
The last step, after you sew on your handles, you'll just want to come in and snip off any of these threads. And you have your handbag all done. Cute and functional.